Alright, fellow gamers, this is Forgotten Lore. Wanted to put together a video, show you guys some of my favorite passive taming tricks and tips. So, one of my favorite things to use is the wood cage. What you can do is, for some smaller guys like this Mesopithecus here, you could place your cage, open the door, and hopefully he'll walk inside the thing. Like so. Close the door behind him, and you can feed him through the cage and not worry about something hitting him or him getting spooked and wanting to take off on you. Now this trick works for charge pets and a few other smaller animals, so you can kind of pin them in one area and not have to chase them around as they're or follow them around as they're taming, which can be obnoxious, to say the least. You could put down spike walls if you're worried about something attacking to kind of keep that from happening. Give you a little added protection. And as you can see, boom, I've tamed out my Mesopithecus. Inside the cage, I didn't have to chase him around. Perfect for guys like these. Okay gamers, so here's another passive tame, the Moss Chops. He's pretty easy to tame for the most part, but he has a problem where he wants to go and walk off, or she, it's a female there, she wants to go and walk off into danger. So we want to stop her from doing that, so we don't have to chase this thing around repeatedly trying to tame it. So if you take a wood cage and kind of place around it, you can block it in, or a few wood cages, you can block it in so that it can't go anywhere, and you can effectively tame it without worrying or having to follow after it. Like earlier with the Mezzo, if you're worried about things coming and attacking you, you can place your spiked walls around the outside. Just a reminder, they don't work on Titanoboa, and the Titanoboa can go through them, so be careful of that if you're near the swamp. But if you're just out and about in an area where there isn't any, the spike walls will do just fine. So he's stuck inside this ring of wood cages and can't go anywhere. He's perfect. She's perfect for taming, and you don't have to worry about chasing after her. You just stand here and press when appropriate. Now these guys, they do change what they like to eat. There's a bunch of different kinds of food items that they will ask for as they tame. Low level ones like level 10s, level 5s, 15s, they can tame out with just 2 feedings on like a ×2, and sometimes you can luck out with a miho berry or a tinto berry, which is relatively easy. You just pick a bush and you can catch those berries, or you gather those berries and then feed the Moss Chops. They're pretty good for kibble. Their eggs can be used for superior and everything below that. So they're really good for taming up eggers to get your kibble farm established early game. With all passive tames, after the first feeding, it takes a while for them to want to take a second feeding, and then after that, the feedings afterward are sooner than it was between the first and the second feeding. So this is proof of concept. I'm not actually going to finish out the tame on this one. I just wanted to show you guys how it's done. When you're done, you can pick up your wood cages and go about your business. Now there is another method that you can use if you don't want to use the wood cages or you don't have access to. If you have access to the Scorched Earth DLC or the Volgaro map or the Ragnarok map, you can get this fun little thing. It's called the tent. They're really nice. They do provide insulation while you're inside of it. So if you're in a hot region or cold region, it will help your insulation go up. It doesn't work for eggs though, so if you're planning on incubating eggs inside of it, it doesn't work like that. So, interesting small animals like the moss chops here. You place the tent and turn it. A lot of times you can kind of force smaller animals inside of the tent. We're going through a lag spike here, or server save. We're on an official server, so those kinds of things are common. Place our tent. Now he may be inside, or she may be inside. I'm not exactly sure yet. I gotta wait for it to move to really be sure. But once it's placed down, you can open the front here, and often animals will try to come out this front door, and they can't quite fit out through the door. And here we go. She made her way through. See, she's going to the front door here, and she can't make her way out. Now, tents are really nice because they unlock at like level 7, I believe. So, and material is really cheap to make. Silk is an exotic resource here on the island. You will not be finding silk randomly about on the island. It's something that you find on Scorched Earth or the Ragnarok map. But you can get it from like gachas, I believe, will produce silk. So, but you have to have the right gacha for that. See, now she's asking for a mejoberry. Again, it's pretty easy to find. But we're not going to finish this tame. Like I said, I just wanted to show you how to trap them and tame them. Alright gamers, here we are again with another passive tame, the Gigantopithecus. These guys are great for fiber and various other things. There's another one that you can place a ring of wood cages around. Alright, now that we have locked it in, you'll notice that you have to find that right spot to feed it, or to get on top of the cage you can place down a wood chair. You can also pick these up after you're done, but you can get above and tame it from the top. And like before, if you're worried about something coming along and messing with your tame, you can place down your wood spikes around it to prevent things from attacking you. But it is that simple. Surround it with wood cages and sit here and press E. The hardest part is actually placing the wood cage, as you have to be fast enough and slap those things down fast enough to actually lock in the creature. And when you're done, you can pick up your taming supplies, your trap, whatever you want to call it, and then reuse them. Okay, so here is another passive tame that a lot of people have problems with, the Hyenodon. They are useful in their own right, seeing as how they get like half weight reduction on meat and spoiled meat, which is pretty cool, as well as an increased spoil timer. So it takes longer for things to spoil in their inventory when they have a meat pack on. You cannot tame the alpha So that's what that glowing red color is on the back of the one. But you can use, my favorite taming tool for them is the tent, and lock it in the tent, which is kind of tricky. What you want to do is you want to place the tent and then rotate so that the hyenodon gets stuck inside of the tent. If it's done incorrectly, the hyenodon will lift up and go outside of the tent. So hopefully this one will hold tight, and it will also keep the hyenodon from line of sight, so it won't aggro it as long as it's inside of that tent. Now, since the alpha is inside of the tent, it won't be moving around, which is nice because what you're after is his subordinates, like this guy right here. And you want him far enough away from the alpha so that you can tame him. If he's too close to the alpha, it says he's too close to the alpha, and then it won't give you the option to. So just like you want to stay crouched while you're doing this. If you stand up around it, it will want to run away. Alright, looks like it is inside of the tent. Just give it a minute, make sure that it doesn't walk out the top. And since we locked up the alpha up there, it'll be less likely to aggro. Open the front of the cage while you're still crouched, walk up to it and pet it. Now these guys like to mess with you, and while you're in there kind of looking at it, they will wander around. Most of the time they do want to go to that entrance on the tent, so just be mindful of that and be careful. But it really is simple as that. Put the tent down and press E. Now, a quick thing about the tent is it does lose durability while it's down. You cannot repair these, so after a while it's basically a throwaway, and you won't use it again. And if you're using one that has low durability to start with, and it's a long tame, it probably will destroy and you'll have to replace it. Hyenodons also will drop taming efficiency fairly fast, or taming effectiveness fairly fast. So you want to stay on top of it and keep pretty close to them, and make sure that you're pressing E as soon as possible. But like I said earlier, the tent unlocks at a level 7. And you could transfer your character, learn it from a free map like Valgero or Ragnarok without having to go to Scorched Earth if you don't own it. This hyenodon apparently does not want to move from its spot, which is perfectly fine. It doesn't mean it won't move later on though, so we still have to pay attention and be careful. Obviously, it's better to tame these on like a ×2. Any passive tame, it's better to tame on a ×2 for better effectiveness. And as you can see, outside it's cold, but if you go into the tent, it gives you insulation and the cold goes away. So these tents work on some other animals too, that if you bola and you try to knock them out, the bola wears off before you can knock them out, which is nice, especially if you have lower quality crossbows or bows, such as a pterodon. Up there he goes. Like I said, he's moving. You can place one of these over a pterodon, and it will prevent it from flying away while you're trying to trank it. And I've seen a lot of people use like stone traps to try and trap these guys. And they make some elaborate traps, but really all you need is this tent here. I discovered this a few months ago. Now there was some talk about being able to use tents to tame things, but I didn't see any content stating that you could tame a hyaenodon with it. So I just want to show you guys that it is possible. Alright, and that's the hyaenodon. Now if the high level is the one that you're at, the alpha, you have to kill all of the other hyaenodons in the area. So see where it says +1 under her name? That lets you know that there's other hyaenodons in the area. And as long as there's other hyaenodons in the area, you will not be able to tame the alpha. But if you kill all the other ones, you can tame the alpha. So if you're after those high levels, that's how you get them. Or if you tame them, obviously if you tame the rest of her pack, you will be able to tame her out because they don't count toward her pack anymore. It's not a wild hyaenodon anymore. So you can tame an entire pack that way. Alright, so here we are again with another passive tame, the Hesperornis. Useful for a few different things. Yet again, we can place our wood cage down and try to get him to walk inside of it. They are aggressive if you walk near them, so it's easy enough to kite them inside of the wood cage. And there you go, it's inside of the wood cage where it will lose aggro. Doesn't do enough damage to actually destroy the wood cage, which is nice. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kite some of these piranha. Now you can tame them with coelacanths, you can tame it with saber salmon. The higher the multiplier the better, and saber salmon is definitely a better choice. To take a body of a fish, grab it, and drag it over to the Hesperornis. The bigger the fish, the harder it's going to be to actually see the Hesperornis because of how large it is. And see where it says yellow feed fish? Feed the fish. There you go. Now you might be able to pick this up in an Argentavis's mouth. I haven't tried it yet, but it may be possible. That's how I tamed the otters. Otters are a similar tame. You feed them fish. but I know for a fact that you can pick the otters up with the Argentavis in their mouth and carry them to the fish. So you may not even need to use something similar to this, but if you're at low levels, you probably will not have access to an Argentavis, but you will have access to a wood cage. And there's some lag on the official network. It could be a server save. Every 15 minutes or so, the server saves. Now it's easy enough to kill the fish with like a spear, wooden spear, and it's actually pretty useful because when it kills the fish, you automatically grab the fish, and then you can bring it to your tame and passively tame it. Just be mindful that there may be other predators in the area that make things more difficult. For example, that baryonyx over there, that can stun lock you while you're in the water. The titanoboa in this area can knock you out as well. So the Hesperornis can drop an egg like any other egg layer, and you can use that egg as oil. It will cook in a cook pot and make oil, so you can use it as an oil factory. If you need oil to make gasoline or to make jerky with, so they can be useful for that. They will only eat fish, unfortunately. They may be able to eat kibble, but I mean, it'd be kind of wasteful to use kibble to feed them when you could just feed them fish. But they won't eat regular meat. They'll only eat fish meat. They also make a golden Hesperornis egg after they have eaten enough fish, which is a lot of fish, and it's a lot of time to get them to eat the amount of fish needed to make a golden egg. But the golden egg can be used for the highest tier kibble that there is, or you can eat it directly to give you an EXP boost for a set period of time. It's not very long. Or feed it to your animals to give them an EXP boost. In my opinion, the only real good reason to have one of these would be to make the oil in early game. Now, they're nice to hunt early game for organic polymer. On the island, there's only a couple different animals that make organic polymer here, and one being the penguin, that's way far up north, and early game you're probably not going to have access to that. But down here you can harvest these guys to get organic polymer. To make your ghillie suit, because it will probably be hot, and that'll help stave off dehydration and keep you from losing water really fast, as well as kind of conceal your movements and make things a little easier for you. So that is the Hesperornis. Okay, so here we have another passive tame, the Calicotherium. They will not aggro on you as long as you don't touch them. They do not like to be touched. These guys like to drink beer as a way to passively tame them, so you're going to have to make beer. Let's see if I can get it in an area where I can actually... See it down there? That's a Troodon. Not a good thing. If that thing hits you, it's going to knock you out. And it won't kill you right away. It'll circle your body, occasionally tapping you just enough to knock you out. So it's going to be a long, slow, drawn-out, painful death. So be mindful of them. The Troodons will not attack you if you have a torch on, which is really nice and useful. Pick up my gates, my failed attempts here. Like I said before, with the Gigantopithecus, you have to be quick at putting these things down. You can get it right after a little bit of practice. I don't like this rock in the way here because you might walk up it. But with enough practice, you can slap them down fairly fast. And once he's in there, you can safely just stand here and tame it as long as you have your beer. And you don't have to follow after it. And if you want, you could put down your spike walls around here to prevent things from attacking you while you're trying to tame it, and you don't have to worry about it messing up its effectiveness. And that's how you tame the Calicotherium, another passive tame. Okay, so the Equus here is another passive tame. Just like the Gigantopithecus and the Calicotherium, you can surround them in the wood cages, like so. It's a little more difficult to do than with the other two, but it is doable. And kind of pin it in so that it doesn't run around while you're trying to tame it. That can be useful if you're trying to get high level tames, because if it gets hit, it will drop its taming efficiency. So all you got to do is lock the thing in with the cages, like so. Place it around it. You can use walls or stones, trees, whatever. I mean that it's close by, and kind of help pin it in. Once it's pinned in, you crouch, get close. Make sure that you have your taming food in the last slot. Feed it, and then ride it. And make sure you press E. Down on the right hand side, you'll see there's an effectiveness meter. Just press E whenever that thing starts flashing. That's the prompt to feed it. And that's it. If you're worried about things coming and hitting this thing while you're in here, you could always put spike walls around the outside. But that's how simple the tame is. Hop on, wait till it's telling you to press the button, and press the button. Now personally, I like to use the tents because they're a little bit bigger and it's easier to lock them in. But if you don't have access to the tent, the cage here works just fine.